We're at Fulham and Manchester United and down at Craven Cottage, a spicy game. And this is a spicy incident. This is the incident that led to the penalty. We're in the 33rd minute. Calvin Bassey is penalised for dragging Mason Mount down for the corner. But it's not the only thing that is going on at this moment, which is why it's caused so much controversy. First of all, just take me through the process here, because the VAR doesn't get involved until the corner has been taken. Referee is not given a penalty. So what happens next, Chris?
So what he actually does when the ball's in flight is he actually does what I call a target glance. He actually looked at Mason Mount and then he grabbed him and he threw him to the ground. So when you look at that, that's a penalty kick. But it wasn't spotted on field by referee Chris Foy. It was spotted by the VAR, Darren England, who recommended a review. And he sent him to the monitor. And obviously we got the pitch side announcement from the referee, who overturned the decision and awarded a penalty kick. And it was the right thing to do, because there's no such a thing as a clamp down on these situations. But I think corners have become really untidy with pushing, pulling, wrestling. It's not what we want to see. Everybody's aware this season that referees will be paying attention to it. Quite clearly, Chris Foy on the day didn't see it. But it was identified by the VAR. When Chris had a look at it at the monitor, he awarded a penalty kick, and it was the right thing to do.
I've got so many questions about this incident. First of all, why didn't he see it? Because there was so much going on inside that penalty area that there looked like a load of rough and tumble. And I think he'd already warned the players prior to the incident as well. You've got Luke Shaw getting involved with Muniz at the back post. Why is he not penalised for that? Delict's involved with the player as well. There's lots of different bits of pushing and shoving. And yes, it's pretty obvious that the PGMO have decided that this year they're going to clamp down on sustained holding inside the penalty area. But is it just because Calvin Bassey is big and strong and can pick up Mason Mount and WWE him to the floor that he's penalised and the other two aren't?
You make some really good points, Sam. I think, when I go back to my refereeing days, you look at the penalty area, you've got 16, 17, 18 players in there all jostling for position. Defenders want to defend, attackers want to score a goal. And, you're trying to get yourself, defenders want to get touch tight, attackers want to move away. And as you said, there's so much going on. I think if you look at the Luke Shaw situation, there's a little bit of holding there with Muniz. Muniz grabs him, that's mutual, he pulls him to the ground. You wouldn't get a penalty for that because it's mutual holding. The delay is a 6 and 2 threes, I would suggest, but the one with Calvin Bassey is quite significant because there was a clear material impact with that, and it's what I would call an extreme non-footballing action. It's not something akin to a football challenge, and of course he doesn't attempt to play the ball at all. So for me, that it's a clear holding offence and a penalty kick.
When you say material action, what do you mean? It affects the playing of the ball, or what?
Well, if you think about it, he looks at him and then he just throws him to the ground.
Yeah.
So he impacts the ability of Mason Mount to be able to head the ball, challenge for the ball, because he's on the floor, and because he grabs him and he throws him down, he just stops him from moving. He just can't get to it. It's just
he might have stopped him from moving for quite some while after doing that body slam onto the floor.
Yeah,
to be fair.
I think it was a non-footballing action, shall we say? You decide what sport it was from, but it wasn't football.
Yeah. Okay, so before the penalty is taken then, right, which Bruno ultimately misses, Chris Foy walks into his path. Bruno's unhappy. There's a little bump between the two. He's put off clearly, and he actually goes to reset the ball. He picks the ball up, goes back, does his action again. He didn't get an apology from Chris Foy. Actually, he ended up getting a bit of mouth from Chris Foy, who was saying, "Why are you picking the ball up?" Should the referee have handled that differently, or is that just a player being melodramatic?
Well, what you do, the process for a penalty kick is when you've given it, you've got to ensure that all the players are outside the penalty area. And what Chris was doing, he was checking to ensure that all the players were doing that, and he accidentally bumped into Bruno. It was unfortunate, it was unlucky. He
wasn't just annoyed about the fact that Bruno had been moaning, and he was just sort of saying to him, "Listen, I'm the boss around here."
What, you think he left something on him? No, not at all. I mean, I made a point of watching that back several times. He was checking to make sure that all the players were outside the penalty area. He touched his shoulder and moved past him. Goodness me, I'd I think people are making a lot about this. I don't think it was too much, to be fair.
You've never ever gone chest to chest with a player like that, no, Chris?
No.
Because it's not a usual incident, is it? It's not something that you see very often, so you can understand why people are picking up on it. And because of all the social media sort of attention that we get now, every minute little moment is analysed, and it was an odd exchange between referee and player. In the same game, we also had Manchester United's opener allowed to stand despite a clear push in the back of Calvin Bassey. Now, it's a clear push. We saw it straight away, and it left Marco Silva absolutely furious.
The referee just can go there if the VAR say that is a foul or something that looks like a foul. Is by the protocol, the referee should be called, like they call the referee. And it took a long time to see it, but they called the referee in the first. In the penalty, they decided to don't call the referee in the second, probably for them. And I don't know who was in the VAR really, and I don't want to go in that direction to individualize the situation. Probably he saw something that everybody around the world saw in a different way.
2 hands in the back, clear impact on the defender. How did he get away with this?
Yes, there was 2 hands in his lower back. I think there was a nudge. I think that this season we've seen a raising of the bar in relation to physicality. And Calvin, I think if you're pushed in the back, you're generally going to fall forward. He didn't. He actually dropped to his haunches. Now, what I would say is the referee, Chris Cabana, in this situation was really close to this. He was aware that, all afternoon there was jostling in the penalty area, what have you. He had a clear unobstructed view and he'd seen that. And he felt nudge, because if he felt it was a push, he would have awarded a defensive free kick. That wasn't the case. I don't think it was a clear, aggressive push. Yes, the hands are in the back. I think it's more of a nudge, and he drops to his knees, and the referee decided that didn't meet the threshold for a clear foul and didn't award a free kick. And I can understand, with the way the referees are refereeing this season, why that wasn't given. But a lot of people will say, Chris, that was a foul, and a lot will say it wasn't.
Do you know what? I think it's really interesting because if you go back to the previous incident where Bassey ends up basically toothpicking Mason Mount and slamming him into the floor, he's shown his strength already in the game. And the fact that Lenny Yoro just gives him a little nudge in the back and he does that dramatic action, it does make you think, hold on a second, you've just basically picked up Mason Mount literally an hour ago. How now can you not withstand that little push in the back of your shoulders? So I think actually this is the right decision. I don't think it was ever going to be a Lenny Yoro goal. It was certainly an own goal. But I do think on this occasion that was the right decision, because he should be able to withstand a little bit of physicality in the penalty area, especially if he's throwing his body weight around. OK, that's Fulham, Manchester United. Let's move on, because there's still quite a lot for us to get our teeth into.